Good evening and welcome to the 27th edition of Crimson Tide Live right here on Alabama at the Voice College Football from yours truly, Jackson Johnson and Coach Johnny Burts, as we give you our take on the latest news and notes on the Alabama Crimson Tide, all right here on Alabama with the Voice College Football and the Voice College Football @Twitter account. And let me tell you something, folks, it's going to be a wild ride. How you doing today, good buddy?
Doing well. A better question is how are you doing? Because I know I probably shouldn't, but I know Bear, you lost your dog this weekend, so it's tough. And anyway,
Yeah.
prayers to you, man. Prayers to you. And I think I mentioned a little earlier that my sister lost um, her dog this weekend too. How old was Bear?
13.
Her her dog was 13.
Wow.
Crazy.
I know.
Tough ride, man. But anyway, it's all fine. It's all good.
Oh,
I've just
yeah.
been thinking about you a lot this weekend.
I appreciate, man.
Yeah.
Well, matter of fact, today's show is dedicated to Bear because we're
Oh,
dedicated to
praise the
him. We're
Lord.
dedicating it to your sister's dog as well.
Yeah.
It's like we got a lot of shows we're dedicated this to today,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Tough times, but we'll,
We pull through it.
yeah, we persevere.
Yep, we will survive.
But I'm doing good, Jack. Everything's fine. I'm prayers with you and your family. So it's
Well,
all good.
I appreciate, man. But of course, come on in and become a YouTube member at Alabama with the Voice College Football for $2.99 a month. You can become a Crimson Faithful member where you can get a member shout out, a custom emoji to use in the comments and the live chat, and you get a loyalty badge next to your name in the comment section. And for $4.99 a month, you can become a Saba Disciple where you can get a priority reply to comments and an access to a monthly hangout from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, Coach Burts, Jeffrey and Only Talk Sports, Manny Wilson, and Brady Quoto. And for $9.99 a month, you can become a Bear Bryant legend. And you can connect on social media with each of us. And you can give out content requests of any kind. And neither rain, nor sleet, nor snow will put a stop to fulfilling your content request. And of course, there's the Disputed National Champions, College Football's Historical 1990s Reset. And in this book, you'll learn about what happened during the 90s, how the decade changed sport, why the championship results should be questioned, how to critically think through the scenarios, and appreciate the accomplishments of teams that were not recognized as champions. This book provides an in-depth analysis of the changes, controversies, and outcomes that defined the decade of college football. It challenges readers to explore and critically evaluate the decisions that shaped the national championship landscape. Unlock the mysteries of college football's most debated decade. Grab your copy now. Man, I just got to tell you, man, like, there's been a lot of talk about the way Kalen DeBoer handles himself. Like, our fan base has been divided between DeBoer. Like, should he stay on? Should he stay? It's like that's way too early, in my opinion. That's way too early of a discussion to be had. I mean, it's like it's his second year, not his fourth, fifth year. Good grief! And besides, I think they need to check out how he handled the press conference today because I mean he did fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Lest they forget, Coach Saban was 6-6, and well, I think they won the Independence Bowl. Maybe
Yep.
7-6 his first year. I mean, come on. I mean, it's quite the challenge to bring in somebody and new, and I think people right now are just talking. It's just stimulating. I mean, they just want to vent their frustrations. They just want to do a bunch of yapping, talking, that kind of stuff. And but no, 9-4 for a first season. Obviously, a couple of you want to scratch your heads, but that's change. And we everything's looking good for the future. So I don't, people get bored and want to just start talking, throwing things out there, that kind of stuff. But excited to see where this spring, see what happens this spring, and then recruiting's been good, and we'll see. Time will tell. Just everybody's, it's all that instant stuff. Today's world, everybody wants everything right now, and we want to win right now, and that kind of stuff. He's fine. He's
Oh,
fine.
yeah. Oh, yeah. He's definitely
He's
fun.
been there before. I mean, he's been there many times before. So there's always a challenge, and there's always you learn from your mistakes. We'll see. Second year, we'll see what happens.
Well, and I'm looking at this article from Cody Goodwin for Bama 247,
Hmm.
and he talks about how he defines a successful spring. Let's take a look, shall we?
Okay. Good.
Here we go. I think, and he says, "quote I think it's always about just continuing to climb, continue to have progress. Challenge the guys out there. You're either getting better or getting worse. That's individuality. That's individually. That's us collectively. It's your side of the ball. I think that's a good starting point. Which direction did you go? I expect a great attitude, energy, effort, all that. It's always going to be that practice one. I expect that every single practice, but there are some times where a guy maybe is coming from injury or a rep that didn't go as well. We got to pick each other up. That's, to me, it's either you're going up or you're going down. That's what
Okay.
I'm always gonna gouge it by, because in the end goal, it's to be our best and to your best individually.
Mhm.
And he also talked a little bit about Ryan Grubb on whether he'll gravitate more to the offensive line, how he's going to still be involved with the quarterbacks. Now, how he's a strong believer that your play caller has to be around the QBs, but on your note, you're very right. It allows them to just do what you want a coordinator to do. That's oversee every position. He certainly has a lot of history and background with the offensive line. There's eyes that start in certain spots when you're a coordinator beyond just a quarterback. And I think a lot of times his eyes, he can see it all. He can see them line up on the perimeter, but he is also really feeling and seeing, has an intuition on what's going on up front at the offensive line. And he also went over about the quarterback battle where he's just like, the QB points, they're different points, beat these procedure wise that were a little different. And apparently Caleb Russell put on 17 pounds. And the weight program for him for any new guy is going to be critical. It's good to get that first phase under your belt. That's why being an early enrollee is so important. Obviously, now and through the spring, there's multiple reasons, but one of the reasons why we go every other day, not back to back ever, is just so we can get big days of lifting in, really a minimum three times a week.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it seems like he did all right. And
Mhm.
he discussed a little bit about whether the Tides That Bind documentary from Fox Nation was a distraction, which, I mean, we'll talk a little bit about your take on episodes 1 and 2 and later on in the show,
Yeah.
Coach. And they did all right. I mean, they're not distracted by it. I mean, there's no distractions, not in Tuscaloosa. At least I don't think there is.
No, I mean you get used to. I mean these guys you get used to the cameras. I mean every week you got guys. Probably they don't even know what company and what whether it's Fox and all that. They're going around filming, creating these hype videos and stuff like that. So you don't even know. You learn to just ignore it. I mean, it's just there, and so some people may play up to it and whatever, get all the drama in front of it, trying to win the Academy Award. But most people are just immune to it, and they're just going to do their thing because it's so commonplace now to have cameras, whether it be from the athletic department or Fox Nation or whomever produced the Tides That Bind. So you get used to it, and so it doesn't become that big a deal. So it really a camera is not going to affect the way you play and the way you present yourself and stuff like that. The only time it really may come into play is after the game, maybe before the game and you're getting all rah, rah, rah and all that kind of stuff. Maybe after the game when, that kind of, and you can get a little stupid in front of the camera. But as far as practice, you're not putting on a performance for the camera. You get used to it. And so you know when to, whatever, act stupid, and then you also know when to concentrate and perform. So I don't think the video, any of that, had any impact on any part of it. Part of the fall is what I'm talking about. Part of practice, part of the season. You get used to it, you get immune to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not the first time this happened at Alabama.
Nope.
This happened before.
Nope. And of course, he went over like what he wants to see from whoever wins the quarterback battle. And he says also, it's got to be a guy who could deliver the ball, command the huddle, command everything we do with the team, that presence, that belief and confidence in your signal caller. It starts with a lot of that, just the belief. The belief comes because you're making the throws and you're getting the ball to the guys in a fashion where they can go make their plays and reap the rewards of all the work they've put in. Now, that is going to be interesting see that quarterback battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's I would like to see Caleb Russell win that battle right away, but at the same time, I think they're just gonna have to give it to Ty Simpson for now. Just like give it like the first few weeks, and if he's not panning out, you hand it to Keelan Russell. I mean, it worked for Florida with Graham Mertz, where it's like he's just meh, but then you hand it off to DJ Lagway, and they're winning with them.
Jack, a lot of it comes down to your high school, because Keelan's going to be a freshman, so he was just. I mean, is he on campus now?
Yeah, Keelan Russell.
Okay, so I mean, it's complicated. A lot of things going on with regard to quarterback as far as checking, doing this coverage, linemen, blitzes, or alignment, all that kind of stuff. And if you come in to Tuscaloosa and you've been in a high school program that kind of mirrors the complexity of all the nuances that go into being a quarterback and looking over at the defense, what's coverage, and scanning the defense and that kind of stuff. So if you've been exposed to a lot of that in high school, then your chances of being successful walking right in January helps. But I mean, if you're in a high school that runs a different offense, maybe high school quarterback was more run based and handing the ball off a lot, although throwing and doing all that kind of stuff, and having to make checks and having to read defenses. And so it comes down to your exposure. How much as a high school senior, as a quarterback, have you been exposed to? So if you've been in a very sophisticated high level high school offense, then the transition to college is a little bit, easier. But if you're and then you have to also factor in the translation of the language as far as XYZ, split end, flanker, what terminology, defense, who's a rover, who's a bandit, who's this, who's that. And so you run into learning the terminology of player positions, defensive, all that kind of stuff. So it's a little more complex than what you think. And so if you're a high school senior that's been in a, just I would say a very, I don't want to say complicated, but sophisticated offense, and you understand all the terminology, all the reads, and all that kind of stuff, it makes it easier. But if you're not, and then you come in as a freshman and want to play quarterback, and and then you have you got all these accolades and stuff like that, and so the fan base is pushing, the program, put this guy in, and then it could be a recipe for disaster and failure. So it's a lot more to it than what it seems.
There we go. And we got a hello from one of our YouTube members, the Godfather of the SEC. How are you doing today, good buddy? We are glad to see you today on today's edition of Crimson Tide Live on Alabama with the Voice of College Football. And I'm just curious to see what's going to happen. I want to see some good things happen for our quarterbacks. And with Ryan Grubb back, well, in Tuscaloosa for the second time, that's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, communication will be a lot better, trust will be a lot better, and so it's looking good. Biggest thing for me is offensive line and the edge. What we got coming out on the edge, and then offensive line continuity with regard to transition to the next season. Who's going to step up?
Yeah, because I remember Coach DeBoer was talking a little bit about the offensive line, where Grubb will be gravitating more to the offensive line. Mm-hmm. And what the plan is on Caden Proctor's limited stats, because we'll get to our injury report in a little bit. And there's a possibility on whether the 5-star freshman Michael Carroll can be playing tackle. And he took some pretty good reps today.
Mm-hmm. From what I want to see the progress of Wilkin Fromby. Or is it Fromby or Formby? Yeah, Wilkin. I know he early in the season he got a lot of flack for some penalties and stuff like that. And I don't know, you can throw a flag on holding anytime. See, his progress. The kid from Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. Well, and
I'm interested to see how he progresses. What his role in the offense this coming season will be, because I think he could be, one that really progresses and can really have a push and have a great year.
There we go. But before we go over our take on the injury report, we'd like to mention the sponsorships at the Voice of College Football, where you can get your business, your product, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the Voice of College Football. Let's discuss how you can reach your target market. Contact us at sponsorships@VOCFB today. Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that the Voice of College Football will be bringing for sponsorships. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it. All righty. We are now going over to our next topic on the injury report. And there's been some key guys down. Like, we've got 8 guys that are out due to this spring. So
you got that list?
Yeah.
And what the injury is? You got the list and the injury, Jack?
Yeah, we've got a few guys. Danny Lewis Jr., Damani Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
They're out. Keon Sabb, Deontay Lawson. They're out.
DB linebacker.
Uh-huh. Yeah. They are not doing so well. They're hurting. Oof. That is not good. And we could be seeing more of Xavier Mincy, Josh Cuevas, Nikhil Hill Green, and Jay Lindsay.
Mm-hmm. No bad players. No. Ready to step in. Depth is always the issue, always an issue, and never goes away. So, but the names that you're speaking of is being able to step in are, experienced players and good quality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Brody Smoot talks about how the injuries open up can be an opportunity for the younger guys to really step up.
Yeah, exactly. Always the opportunity. I remember being young and trying to, make my mark and establish myself, and you do it in spring. It's, fall, spring determines the fall.
Yeah.
Spring is the opportunity, and then you earn your way for your play in the fall. So Spring is for if you want to play, that's where you make your mark is in the spring. Prove your worth in the spring, and then you put yourself in a position in the fall to be playing, being out there on that field. So a lot of opportunities. Now the guys you mentioned are proven. Most of them proven, and they have experience, and so I don't see. And yeah, so with them out, that gives somebody else the opportunity and seize the day. Carpe diem, seize the day. Your opportunity to shine. Do it.
There we go.
If I were some of these young guys, I'd be like, oh yeah, here we go, where I need to be.
There we go. And our receiver Bubba Hampton is out. Fatua Henry, defensive line, is out. Daniel Lewis Jr., tight end, is out. David Bird, our long snapper, is out. Our kicker, Alex Asperuhov, is out. We got a lot to look out for. Justin Jefferson, no relation to the Vikings. Justin Jefferson, limited. Caden Proctor, limited. James Smith, limited. Good grief. We've got some injuries, but we want to make sure they're healthy before the start of the season.
Yeah, exactly. But this is time, like I was mentioning, it's time you build your depth. And so we know those guys are going to be dependable in the fall. Hopefully, Proctor, I hope they move him to guard for his sake. But anyway, the other guys, so now this is where you build your depth.
Yeah.
And so, those guys are going to be one or two on the depth chart. And so then these guys stepping up, get an opportunity and prove their worth and create that value.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm ready to see what our backups and our third stringers can do.
Exactly. And then it takes experience. I mean, you learn from experience, and the only way you get experience is to be out there and in the real life situations, and you get that experience, and then you learn. The coaches learn about you, you learn about yourself, and so you prove your point to your teammates, and it's a great opportunity. So spring practice is all about developing wealth. I mean, with your playing, just creating wealth for yourself as far as playing time.
Yeah, and everybody in the chat, feel free to give your take on the depth. Like, is it gonna help Alabama? Is it hurting Alabama? Like, all of you in the chat decide. Like, give us your take.
The only people that the players that do not like spring practice are the starters. The returning. They don't want. They're not all about it or whatever. But for the young guys that have the experience trying to prove themselves, they're all about it. Let's do it. So it's an interesting dynamic, and but it is what it is, and it has to. And as a team, I mean, it's got to take place. You got to learn.
Yeah.
Evaluation is key. Success in the fall is, the evaluation of spring training. Anybody throwing, spring training away and they don't understand the process.
Yeah. It's always important never to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly.
So yeah, because I mean it's gonna be. I'm really hoping that Damani Jackson can be ready for the fall. Like that's the important part. Make sure he's ready. Get Deontay Lawson.
He's a valuable part of it. And so we need to look next week, Jack. Let's pull this back up and look and see what they say are the injuries. I mean, is it a ACL? Obviously, if it was an ACL or something, we'd already know. But is it some nagging injury, or is it something serious or something like that? When they're holding them out, you just want to know, well, kind of why.
Yeah.
So we'll look that up. That'll be on my to-do list.
Well, and the Godfather of the SEC says, I think this is why some schools are canceling spring practice now due to these injuries from last year. I'm afraid spring may I don't think it's gonna go that far. I think spring will be all right for now. I think it's gonna be fine. It'll be all right.
Well, we talked about this in the past, Jack, is a lot of schools are looking at a lot of these play opportunities. All right. So if you didn't get to play in the fall so much, you were limited. And so now the transition is you were second team. Maybe you're going to replace and come up to first team and you're going to use spring to blah, blah, blah. And then now we have all this video. And so now they're using it to put themselves out there to be recruited in the portal because they allow this stupid, insane, whatever portal opening in the spring. And so a lot of schools are just, why do this? I mean, it's
Well,
not
and
your job to give you an opportunity to promote yourself, to go get into some portal and get a package and that kind of stuff. So a lot of schools are getting away from it. So I think the Godfather might be correct that it may disappear. Or I'm not going to say it's going to disappear, but as far as public and out there in the stadium and you got 50, 90,000 people there and all, you know what I'm saying? I think that part of it is going to be disappear.
well, and Coach was saying that the spring game is going to be modified. It's not going to be on television, but it's going to be. He describes what it would look like.
Mm-hmm. I read that.
Yeah, and he says that he would consider last year's spring game probably a modified game. We didn't split teams up. We talk about the O-line depth, tight end depth, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how the spring goes. To me, it's just something where we want to have controlled reps, lining up and getting something out of the practices, because I think all 15 practices that we get are really important. I get something out of that. And as we go through the spring, we'll continue to figure out where we're at to see what we want to do. When it comes to the day itself, we want to make it a great celebration for our fan base. We want to put some football out there because we know everyone associated with our program. The fan base can't wait for April 12th, but we've also got to do what's right for us. Alabama football now focuses on spring practice as they prepare to gear up for their annual 8A spring game on April 12th. And that's Travion Ware with the article at Touchdown. Oh, there we go. And we got our guy, Godfather AC, giving out a thumbs up and giving out the number one finger. Let's go, man. There you go. Call up your friends to tell everybody about the magic that Alabama with the Voice College Football is creating for Alabama with the Voice College Football, because this show does not exist without you guys. You are the show, my friends.
And I agree with it. I do. We'll see. Time will tell. I mean, this is evolving and all that kind of stuff. Every time we turn around, they're throwing something new at us, and and everybody's trying to adapt. And how does this work? Figure out how to make it work, and then all the pros and cons of it. And it's just, I mean, it is a whirlwind of transition. Who knows how it's going to play out in the end?
And I think we'll weather this storm. I think we're going to be okay. I think we'll be more than fine. We're going to get through this. I mean, we're going to. And Kelton DeBoer's the guy to do it.
Yeah. So everybody just settle in and just we'll get the analysis and we'll all have our opinions and everything. But and a lot of it scratching your head on what are these guys thinking? But I think in the end, with players and performance and competition and competitiveness, I think the product is still there. Everybody, the loyalty and everybody wanting in. We're all in the same situation. We want the same outcome, and so that part has never failed and isn't going to fail anytime soon. But you just scratch your head, constantly having to adapt new rules.
Yeah. I wonder what the new rules will be this year, which I mean we're gonna see later on in the coming weeks.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I'm just curious to see what's gonna happen for
Yeah.
for spring game. I think it's still gonna be fun. You know, it's like you can get your pictures with the family and all that sort of stuff. Because I mean, it's like there's so many great memories from spring practice.
Yeah, yeah, always. And I've been to several of them down there, and I've played in several of them and that kind of stuff. Not to the degree of Tuscaloosa, but yeah, it's always a good time, that kind of stuff. And we'll see. But they every time NCAA and all this change adds another little wrinkle in the sheet. Just gets a little more wrinkles. They got to iron out.
Yeah,
Time will tell.
just iron it out. There you go.
Iron it out. Time will
Iron,
tell.
there we go. Iron it
But
out.
I will say this, and and I know that eventually, if we don't get some just, I mean, if they're constantly going to continue to change the rules and that kind of stuff, people are going to get frustrated and just done with it. They've got to come. Finally, they're to the point they got to come reach a model that everybody agrees with, and it stays. It can't every year. We can't just keep adding to the chaos, or that's confusion, and people get tired of it. You know, so right
There,
now we're in a state of change, and with the playoff system and that kind of stuff. But we can't every year just keep coming up with different rules and different this and different that before people get you got to have some stability. I mean, we had it for what? Well, we had the bowl system that lasted up until until 90s when we went to the playoff, the championship game and that kind of stuff, and then we go to So if you know what I'm talking about, I mean, now there's got to be a point of stability. It's got to settle out and just stay for a few years.
well, Byron Walker says, remember the SEC rule: no spring SEC to SEC portal. You have to go outside the SEC conference. But
Which, yeah.
yeah, there. I think again we'll be able to weather this storm. You know, it's like
Yeah.
we're gonna.
Well, the portal thing needs to be after the bowl season. I mean, give them crap. Give them from after the bowl season about 2 or 3 weeks, and then crap, it's done. Why are we
Okay.
doing all this whatever in December? And then that's what I'm saying. I mean, they've got to come down to they got to people have to have a chance to just okay, stability. We've whatever. But if they're going every year, just keep adding crap and new rules and little microphones and iPads on the sideline. If they're just going to keep adding to the chaos, I mean, people are going to get frustrated.
Yeah.
It's got to stop. It's got to slow down for a while. It's got to be just
Well,
give us time to adapt.
yeah. I mean there's always going to be some time. Like we'll be able to figure it out once again. But of course, you can come on in and check out Crimson Tide live on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, iHeart. Please leave a rating and review, because I can tell you right now, it's always a fun ride with Crimson Tide live on Alabama at the Voice College Football and on the Alabama Call-In Show, where Jeffrey and I take your calls and we go over. And of course, there's the primetime live show that just premiered last Tuesday with Brady Quoto and Manny Wilson, as they bring their magnificent takes on Alabama football as well. Let me tell you, it's always a fun one right here on Alabama with the Voice College Football. And you can give it a listen on Apple and Spotify and Amazon and iHeartRadio. All righty. It looks like Saturday we could have won against Tennessee. But oh my God, that was just a terrible loss.
Yeah, yeah, that one hurt.
Oof.
Um,
That was devastating.
yeah, I thought we took the our shot. I thought we took it a little early. Um, anyway, it was a hard game to watch.
Oof.
Anyway, it was just so much, just it's just whack a mole, that kind of stuff, and consistency in the officiating. I was frustrated with that. I've coached basketball and played basketball, all that kind of stuff, and so. But anyway, yeah, and I mean it is what it is. I mean, the guys, which is to me it's too commonplace today. I think they ought to do away with the 2 point. I mean 3 point line. Excuse me, 2 point line, 3 point line. I mean it's just too easy. I told you week before, excuse me, that when Naismith came up with the basketball and that kind of stuff. I mean everybody was this tall, and then now they're like whatever, and so the human body anatomically has outgrown the court. And so making a shot from that distance and being rewarded for it to me is just interesting. I mean, I think they need to expand the court because bodies have gotten so big, but at the same token, it is what it is. And I thought Alabama took it a little early, and Tennessee came back and
Oh man, like that
good for
last,
them. Good for them.
like that last play. It was like 5-second violation we had on ourselves where we waited too long to pass to our guy. That
Yeah,
was so bad. That was just so wrong. Like we oh my god, like that was so bad. And then Tennessee gets a chance, that 40-foot game winner. But
yeah,
I mean, hey, at least Dickie V got to see a good moment. So I mean, it's like,
yeah. Bless his heart.
I
But
mean,
yeah, it was a great game. It was a great game. Don't get me wrong, and that kind of stuff. And I don't want to be, um, Debbie Downer about it and stuff like that. But kudos Tennessee, pulled it out, and here we go. Alabama's got the tough. I mean, it's so tough end of the season schedule. Tennessee. Who we got next? Florida. Then Auburn.
Florida on Wednesday night, and then we got Auburn on Saturday. But we got to go to Auburn.
Exactly. So I mean, your little computer algorithms puke this schedule out, but it is tough.
Oh,
So
on the one hand, we're out of the running for the overall 1 seed, but we're still in play for the 1 seed. But at the same time, it's like it doesn't really mean much to be a 1 seed because, like, what good is that in March Madness? Like, because I mean, it's like look how we saw Purdue. They fell apart against Fairleigh Dickinson.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
Tennessee has that reputation of falling apart in March Madness. Because like they always do that. They're great in the regular season, but they fall apart in the postseason. I mean, because like they could laugh at us about how we lost. I mean, laugh at us, but we're gonna have the last laugh on the Tennessee Volunteers. We are gonna have that last laugh on them because Tennessee will fall short of another Final Four. They will blow it in the Sweet 16 or they'll blow it in the round of 32. It's just typical of the Tennessee Volunteers, and we're here for it at Bama Nation.
yeah, yeah. What about Auburn?
Oh, I mean, I want to see if they're gonna
They're
blow
gonna, they're
it
gonna be
again.
able to pull.
I want to see if they're gonna have like another moment like they did last year, where it's like, are they gonna be that team that blows it in March like they did last year, or are they gonna try to have another magnificent?
That was just crazy. But that's why they call it madness. I mean,
Oh, I
it's
want us to
crazy.
be there. I want Alabama to knock out Auburn for the overall 1 seed. Like I want to see Bama beat Auburn and then like beat Auburn in the SEC tournament. And if we can meet them in March Madness, that would be cool.
Yeah, SEC tournament is a key. So Alabama, if they can find a way and pull out that SEC tournament championship, that'd probably get them a 1 seed. And then Auburn, probably, even if they don't win it, they're going to wind up a 1 seed. So the I guess the enthusiasm or the whatever the best. I mean, the enthusiasm for Alabama would be being able to win the SEC and getting back to that one seed and then get on a roll, survive and advance and that kind of stuff. And for Auburn, it would be, getting, the regular season SEC championship, then losing the tournament. But they're still probably still, well, depends on, well, they'll probably still get a one seed. So even if they get knocked out in the first round or second round by blah, 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 probably everything for Auburn's pretty much secure until once the probably when the tournament starts. Then it'll get, we'll go from there. But
Well, with this loss, we are now 7th in the nation in the AP poll, and we're 8th in the coaches poll.
yeah.
So, of course, we're below St. John's. I mean, that's to be expected. But number 5 is Florida in both polls, and number 1 is Auburn. If we beat both of them, I think we may have clinched our 1 seed. And all we really have to do is get to the SEC title game because, like, for those that are like tuning in, the SEC title game is usually like hours before Selection Sunday. So,
Yeah.
so if like Alabama's in the title game, that's a good thing. It's like, win or lose, you're a 1 seed. But
I'm gonna tell you, Alabama, the 1 seed for Alabama is this. All right, they got to split. All right, if they can beat, just got to beat one of them. If they can beat Florida, all right, or they lose to Florida, they beat Auburn in the final, at Auburn. And if Alabama, the way Alabama can get a 1 seed is if they split one of those and then win the SEC, they'll be a 1 seed.
yeah, I mean, that'd be cool. But it's
but then I mean, how many 1 seeds make it to the, what's the percentage there of 1 seeds making it to the,
I mean, the only time that's happened where you see all 4 1 seeds making it to the Final Four was 2008. That was it. You don't see it that happening that often. I mean,
No.
sometimes you'll see like 3 1 seeds, but in plenty of cases, there's 0 1 seeds in the Final Four. So you don't need to be a 1 seed, and being a 1 seed or a 2 seed, not always a blessing.
No,
Like,
I mean, it's everybody wants to knock them off.
Yeah, I mean, we got knocked out in 2023 by San Diego State. 2021, we got knocked out by UCLA. Last year, we were a 4 seed. Worked out nicely. We were under the radar. So I kind of feel like it. I don't want us to lose. Don't get me wrong. I don't want that. But the question is it better to be a top 2 seed or is it better to be like a 3, 4, 5 seed? That way you can slip under the radar. Because like we look at Connecticut, for example, they won it all 2011. And, people tend to forget they had a sloppy end to the regular season. They had a surprising start in the regular season, but then as season went on, they had a sloppy end of it. So they were like the 8th seed. So they had to play 5 games in 5 days of the Big East tournament. Then you see Cardiac Kimba making his magic against Pittsburgh. Then you see them making their magic against the Cuse. Then you see them beating Louisville in the Big East title game. And then, boom, you see them winning it all in all of college basketball. So it's like, I'm not saying Alabama.
I wouldn't want that 1 seed. That's the bullseye. I mean, that's everybody wants to knock off the 1 seed. And so I'd rather not be that. But supposedly you've got the cushier path, to the championship, to the Final Four, and that. So I don't know. It's cushier path or just everybody trying to knock you off. What's the greater incentive, the greater motivation? I think it always lines up with the underdog, or not always, but for the most part, lines up with the underdog, knocking people off and that kind of stuff. So I don't feel like being a 1 seed and having that, hopefully easier path to the championship. I've never really felt like that was just a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing in one sense, but a nightmare in another. So
Oh yeah. Ask Virginia.
it comes down to the players. How mature can they handle, all of a sudden you're a 1 seed and all of a sudden these, 16th or whatever seed is, and then all of a sudden you just melt and you're like, and you panic in the moment.
Yeah. You don't want to be panicking, no.
No. Got to be mature. That comes down to maturity and your players and coaching and all of that. So that's the beauty of it. That's why we watch it.
There we go. And of course, we got Houston above us. Now that's a team that doesn't do so well in March Madness. They have not done so hot usually.
Yeah, and that's the deal. I mean, that's the grind of the season and how much emotion. I mean, you look at baseball, over 100 games. How many times can you go out there and bring that adrenaline and that emotion and stuff like that? And basketball, the season's such a grind. And now you got football. Just 6, 7, 8 months. I mean, we're talking last week before last, about the Super Bowl being in mid-February. I mean, how long can you just keep, pulling up this adrenaline and this dopamine and getting excited and, before finally you're just burned out. So that's the challenge.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a lot better. And to be honest with you, they'd cut these seasons down. I know they want their tickets and money and all that kind of stuff. Cut the seasons down. It'd be just a lot more fun if it were shorter seasons and just get to the climax and let's blow and then move on. But that's just me.
Well, anyhow, so now we've got our coaching staff all figured out for 2025 for Alabama football. Back to the football mark, of course. And we've got, so of course we got Ryan Grubb as our OC. And Nick Sheridan's on the staff remaining as the quarterback coach and a co-offense coordinator. But we've got former defensive backs coach and former Alabama defensive back Jason Jones on our defensive staff. So here's our offensive staff. Let's take a look. Boom. We got Ryan Grubb, Brian Ellis, our tight ends coach. We got Robert
Gillespie.
Okay. The assistant head coach and running backs coach, Chris Kaplevik, our offensive line coach. Jamarcus Shepard, our assistant head coach, co-offense coordinator, wide receivers coach. Nick Sheridan, our quarterbacks coach. Jay Nunez as our special teams coordinator. And there's the Womack bat returning as our defense coordinator. Maurice Lundgust as our defensive backs coach. Assistant defensive backs coach, Jason Jones. Chuck Morrell, our linebackers coach. Freddie Roach, our associate head coach, defensive line. And we have Christian Robinson, our outside linebackers coach. How are we feeling about this coaching staff, Coach?
Looks pretty good. I like it. Lot of good names, good experience. Obviously, after anybody watching our show knows, I thought the defense got better, and so good with regard to that. Offense, I'm just going to leave it with Coach DeBoer and Coach Grubb, and feel good about it. No problems with regard, no concerns with regard to me. That's good staff. And Coach DeBoer is good with it. I'm good with it. Year two, we'll see what happens.
There we go.
See the dynamic.
Well, and I'm kind of curious to see how Kaplivic can handle our offensive line this season because it's going to be a good question to see what happens with our offensive line. Because it's like we've been down here and there with the injuries, as stated earlier tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and our defensive staff. I want to see what Chuck Morrell can bring out with our linebackers because he's been doing all right with it, and Jason Jones, being added to the staff.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is a
Well, I
humongous.
mean, they've got some good players with regard to Lawson's back, and but the big thing is for the defense is who's on that edge. Alabama's always had a quality edge rusher, so we'll see how that works out. Secondary is going to be solid. Defensively, Alabama's going to be pretty good next year. I'm just going to tell you, Jack, they're going to be pretty good. Offensively, quarterback subject, and we'll find out as we progress. But I'm going to tell you what, that defense, and they always used to say defense wins championships, and I like that defense. I do.
Oh man, our
Mm.
defense. It's going to be so much fun watching our defense in
Yeah.
2025.
If we all we lack on the defense is that edge rusher, and if we can generate, and hopefully we've got somebody down there that they maybe just come out of the blue and we know about him, but all of a sudden they just mature into that role, and that'll be good. Defensively, we're going to be fine. Got to
Oh
be
yeah,
good tacklers though. I don't know. This crap trying to knock somebody down. Crap. But when they start wrapping up and driving that shoulder and wrapping them up, I don't know. I don't like that. But running up and trying to knock them down, I ain't about that at all.
yeah, yeah. It'll be so much fun seeing what our defense brings again. I'm glad to see Jason Jones being added to the staff, and I'm glad to see Kane Womack as our defensive coordinator again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a great. That it's going to be humongous seeing him back on the staff.
Yeah, and bringing the wealth of knowledge,
There you go. Because
bringing that
knowledge.
attitude.
There you go. Knowledge is power,
That is, and
and
it's valued.
it's heavily valued.
Valued.
Oh yeah, we gotta get that value going. Yeah, and I just hope that everything will be all right with our linebackers because it's like again right now the injuries it's kind of here and there, but they should be back. They
Well,
should.
and the key is Lawson. I mean, running the show, and that'll be him coming back is a key because he's got the respect, he's got the knowledge, and that will be, I think the biggest bonus with regard to the defense next year is to have him and his experience and his attitude. I mean, good player, aggressive, and so having that in the fold will be, you know, it'll be really important and impactful.
Oh yeah. So yeah, because like I'm just like so happy about 2025 coach staff getting finalized. We're ready to go for the spring. We're ready to go for the fall. We are just all set for 2025.
Yep.
And I wonder if there's anything else we missed on it because like it's gonna be. I'm curious to see what will happen. Like I don't think we're gonna have the type of season that we had last season. Because like again, one bad year, it happens. But
Well, Jack, it wasn't a bad year. It was 9-4.
oh, bad
It
bad
didn't
year by our.
measure up to what we were hoping. After I understand. I'm not trying to be whatever. But after you beat Georgia, you're like, all that kind of stuff, and then you lay an egg at Vandy, and so I mean that puts the plants the seeds of doubt and that kind of stuff. But it was all in all. I mean, it's a year of players learning each other, learning the coaching staff, and all those dynamics. I mean, really, to be honest with you, it was. I know we're trying to compare, Saban-esque and all that kind of stuff, and we're always playing for a championship. And we should have been in the 12. I'm gonna be honest with you. The play we should have been in there. All right, everybody's forgetting that one, but it was a pretty good year. It wasn't bad. The ugly losses, Oklahoma, Vandy. I understand. I understand, and that kind of stuff. You don't expect that, but in the end, it was probably now we have time to go, reflect that kind of stuff. And mellow on it and that kind of stuff, and have a sober, conversation with your brain and really reflect. It's probably okay. Now, Vandy not acceptable, Oklahoma, but in the end, the future is pretty bright.
Yeah, it most certainly is. And
Hmm.
and it shows on the first day of spring practice, because like there's Lotzier Brooks. Oh, nice! He's making a nice catch.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Athletic.
And there's our guys getting in some reps, and our QB getting it done. I'm excited to see what we bring out.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. And it'll be fun seeing what happens for spring practice for 2025. I want to see some big plays. I'm
Yeah.
so ready. and it's funny though, like our guy Mark Rogers was talking about this the other day. Caden Proctor, the reason why he left Iowa to return Alabama on the Tides That Bind documentary, I never heard the words national championship come out of their mouths. Love it. Like that's just so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Tides at Bond. He's featured first episode. He's featured a lot in that.
Oh man. Because like Iowa, they haven't been to a natty since before either of us were born. Like that's not good, but I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not great. But I mean, it's Iowa football. They do good enough, and then they haven't won an outright Big Ten title since the Hayden Fry era. I mean, like all their Big Ten titles that they've won under Kurt Ferentz were shared titles, but it's
Mhm.
like my goodness, like I'm glad that Caden Proctor's back at Bama.
Yeah. Well, and he was featured in the Tide Binds and the Tides Bind, and I watched it and I listened to a lot of his comments about why he came back to Tuscaloosa, why he left, and then why he came back, and it's interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very interesting. So, um, and he's very very sincere individual. I think he got hurt early in with the shoulder and that kind of stuff, and may have affected his play throughout the whatever because he was on that left tackle over there, and Milrow, and I've talked about him with regard to this past fall, and a lot of pressure on that left side with regard to him. I'm not sure how much we knew or know still today about that shoulder injury. It happened in the warm-ups before the opening game. What was that, Western Kentucky?
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of on and on and on. So
Well, and he also, and before he talked about how he didn't hear the words national championship come out of Iowa's mouth. he talked a little bit about how when Coach Saban left, he started thinking, who's going to be the new coach? What am I going to do? I came here to play for Coach Saban. Then he went back to Iowa. Boom. The rest is history.
Yeah, and
And
it was his friendship with players in Tuscaloosa that brought him back.
there we go. And, he did apologize to Kalen DeBoer face to face. And he said, it's one of the worst decisions I've made in my life. Looking back, I had so many people who cared for me were trying to tell me that this was the best place for me. I really wasn't thinking it through. I let Coach DeBoer and the staff talk to me, trying to convince me to stay, but I wasn't really sitting there and listening to them. I was just so hell bent on going back home. No one's going to change my mind. It was humbling because I'm not really the type of person to do that. I felt like that was the right thing to do because I realized I really didn't listen. And, he did miss the first 2 weeks of the 2024 season. And,
That was injury.
huh?
That was injury.
Yep.
First two. Yeah.
Yeah. It's refreshing to see him back at Alabama, because it was like, what a loss that would have been if we didn't have him for 2024.
Yeah. The documentary on Fox Nation, um, the tides that bind. I've watched the first episode, and then I'm almost through the second episode. But what he was featured in the first, um, along with others. Don't get me wrong, but it was kind of what he said, that he signed. He wanted to play for Coach Saban, and things changed. But he also said that what he loved about Tuscaloosa and what he loved about being there on campus was his connection with his teammates, his offensive linemen, and he was specifically really close with Wilkin. Is it Fromby or Formby? Fromby,
Mm-hmm.
which was a guy from Tuscaloosa, and they he was really close with him and his family and the team, the team and that kind of stuff. And he left for whatever reasons, and then finally he realized he missed being with those guys, and he said, hey, I want to come back. And he talked Coach DeBoer. It's in the video documentary, and said, he says, I'd love to come back. I made a mistake, and that's it. And so you learn his loyalty to his teammates, and being there in Tuscaloosa, and his friendship with Wilkin, and it was good to see. Very
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah. It
And I'll
was
tell you another thing, Jack. The what I gleaned, took away from the first episode is, I was very impressed with Jalen Milroe. I really was. And there's a story in that first episode where he and some of his teammates go and visit a young man family, and the young man has cancer and that kind of stuff, and they form a connection, and the young boy dies and everything, and to see how they present that connection with Jalen, the family, and then the father comes back to the campus later to talk to the players, and Milroe sees the father after being at his at the house with his family, and spend that time, and to see how touched Milroe was with regard to seeing the father and their connection, and it was a beautiful thing. And so it was a class act. I was very impressed with how Jalen Milroe handled the situation, and it shows a lot of his character.
Yeah.
Type of person Jalen Milroe is.
Yeah.
Very, very, very eye-opening, and so I would suggest any of our viewers, if you have a chance to watch it, it is a beautiful thing. And I'm not doing it justice by trying to describe it, but it was very. I came away that is a quality young man.
Yeah, he is. He
Yeah,
most certainly is. I
yeah,
hope the NFL works out for him, but if
it
it
will.
doesn't, then he's got other options.
Well, here the betting, I guess the betters in Las Vegas is, will Jalen clock out, or whenever they do the combine 40, will he clock out as the fastest quarterback, NFL quarterback ever?
Yeah, there you
There
go.
you go. Hey, speed kills, and somebody's not gonna let that guy slip away, and he's a good
No,
character.
nor
So
should they.
yeah.
He's a great guy.
So my thoughts are he's going to be a success. That's a quality kid. I say kid, he's a man now.
There you go.
All right.
Very well. Before we sign off, with the story at the end of the show, we got the Voice College Football Ets account where there is magic all over the place. You got magic from us, SC Trojans, Gabriel Pickup, and let's see. Well, what we have here, you got Garrison, and oh man, I'm forgetting his name for a little bit, but we got Garrison and his friend Ryan Stanos live on Ohio State Primetime. Gerald and Matthew on Texas Live. And you got us breaking the fourth wall inside the 16th wall. What do you know? There we go. Coach and I are breaking that fourth wall, and we're going to continue doing that. And there's all kinds of magic all over the place on the Voice of College Football its account/Twitter. So tell everyone about the magic that the Voice of College Football its account is bringing. But guess what else is bringing that magic? The Instagram account, which we will get to in just a little bit. Let's go over there. Oh man, there's all kinds of places. The top 10 recruits since 2000, the top 10 high school seniors and their schools per ESPN 30, the freshman class from this year, and our thoughts with Mason Alexander. We hope his family's doing all right. We pray that he's doing okay, and sad to see him go. And we are sad to see Hugh Freeze being diagnosed with an early form of prostate cancer. But of course, we are definitely sure he's going to beat it. But there's big news like Nebraska hiring the Patriots executive, Pat Stewart. Let's hope he doesn't be like past Belichick assistants or associates and screw things up. And there's Matt Rule giving his take on whether Big Ten teams should schedule a tough non-conference slate. I'm going to tell you, there's all kinds of magic from the Voice of College Football Instagram account. And it's so much fun to check it out. It is so much fun to check it out because there's just so much magic from there. Here you go. And here's where everybody can give it a follow. Got it in the chat and in the description. Well, before we sign off, you got any stories you want to tell us, Coach?
Yeah. Let me tell you one. This is from way back, Delta State years. We were, and anybody that is, even if you're a fan, but as a player, you know that the end of August, the 1st of September, 1 o'clock, at 11 o'clock, could be 11, 1 o'clock, those type of kickoffs are the worst. It's so friggin' hot. I mean, it's just hot, steamy, especially in the South. And so anyway, we were Delta State. We were playing at Southeast Missouri, and we go up there, and right before it's a 1 o'clock kickoff, Jack, and right we go do the warm ups and that kind of stuff. No, excuse me, I'm getting it wrong. before we go to do the warm ups, all of a sudden it comes a rain, one of those little passing showers. All right, it's the end of August, and I mean it's hot. And then here comes a shower, and then it was just real quick, and all of a sudden the sun comes back, and you could see the steam. I mean, it was just just the humidity just oozing up out of the ground and that kind of stuff. And so we play. It was hot, humid. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. And then anyway, so after the game, and we won. So after the game, we get on the buses and we're headed out of SEMO. I think it's Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Anyway, we get headed out and we're on the interstate in our little buses and that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, one of our players starts having a cramp in his leg. All right. And so and then all of a sudden he has, the cramp starts growing. And then it says leg, then another leg, then an arm. And I mean, he's locked up in a cramp. I mean, a body cramp. And so, so all of a sudden our trainers and all that are trying to, what do we do? So anyway, in the end, we pull off the interstate and that kind of stuff, and they bring in an ambulance and all, but in the meantime, before the ambulance gets there, we have a trainer, and good guy, great guy, and all that kind of stuff. But he was one of those guys that thought ice cured everything. You know what I'm saying? All right, you got a temperature, you got a fever, put ice on it. You got a, whatever this, that, you got a scratch, you got a cut, put ice on it, that kind of stuff. And I never really knew the miracle of ice. Well, anyway, so we're pulling off the interstate, and now our teammate, we got to get him, and he's locked in a body cramp. And so in the aisle, we're passing him down the aisle, locked in a body cramp, down the aisle, trying to, and they work him around, to get outside the steps of the Greyhound, that big bus, the threshold where you get them out and whatever. Our trainer, he's got him covered in ice on the side of the interstate. And so I'm sitting there, and I never in my life knew that ice could cure, dehydration, body cramps, and they got him covered in ice. And we're all looking like, what are we watching? So yeah, that was bizarre, man. On the side of the interstate, him locked as stiff as a board, and screaming, and we turn him around and get him out on the side, and then our trainers got him covered in ice. Ice is going to cure cramps.
Oh man. Well, and since I'm feeling a little bit generous, I decided I'm going to gift a YouTube membership to someone at Alabama Voice College Football. And who is the lucky YouTube member? Well, congratulations to Edward Bishop. You are now a YouTube member at Alabama at the Voice College Football. Let's go. You are. There we go. There we go. And there's more where that came from. There we go.
Just remember, Jack, if you got a fever, put ice on it.
There you go.
Just remember, Jack, if you got a blister, put ice on it.
There we go. Well, Coach, what have you got going on this week, man?
Same old, same old. Doing the old, a lot of fun. Just rocking it with regard to education.
There you go. Schoolhouse.
Hard to believe I'm still out there and that kind of stuff. So anyway, I told you we got my room dog, Mark Hudspeth, coming on for too long. We're gonna have a conversation with him, so that'll be fun.
There you go.
We can tell you some old war stories, and I'll ask Mark if he was on the bus, because Mark was a little bit younger than me, and I'll ask him if he was on that bus when we were driving down from from southeast Missouri. We pull on interstate, and we got the You know, we got the ice bucket brigade.
There we go. Oh man, it's so much fun. It's like I'm looking forward to hearing from Coach Hudspeth. That's gonna be
Yeah,
mad.
he's one of a kind. He's a great guy. Anyway, we got a lot of stories we can share.
There we go.
And I got a few. We were roommates, so I got a few on him, and he's probably got a few on me.
There you go. That'll be a fun show.
Hmm.
And you can also check me out on Jackson VOCFB on X/Twitter and on Jackson Johnson 543908 on Instagram and Threads. And of course, you can also check out my show, The Jackson, on Jackson Johnson 979, where I have the Ohio State Primetime Live co-host Garrison Gaddy joining me for a fun, wide range of topics on the world of college football. And let me tell you, it was so much fun. It's like, and it's like it was just so much fun. Like talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes, talking about Bama. We even like made comparisons of Ryan Day to Eric Persigan and Dabo Sweeney because of because of the fact, and I know that's raised the eyebrows, but because of the fact that like Ryan Day losing record to Michigan, Eric Persigan losing record to USC when he was head coach Notre Dame, Dabo Sweeney the first 6 years that he was there, losing record to South Carolina. Where it was like at one point Clemson lost 5 straight to South Carolina from 09 2013. Not a lot of people remember that, but we had so much fun discussing it.
And Coach Bryant had a losing record to Notre Dame. Was that it?
Yeah, but it's but it was more like our rivals. Like we were beating
Yeah.
Auburn and Tennessee, so it's like we beat our rivals, but it's like we didn't get a single win against Notre Dame. But it wasn't like a rivalry game. But if we did play more often, I think Alabama and Notre Dame would have been like kind of like how people are seeing like Notre Dame Clemson is like this rivalry. I feel like if Notre Dame Alabama was play more often, they would see that as more of
Mm.
a rivalry. Oh, nice mic, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There you
Looks
go.
like a big pickle.
Here
If
we
it was
go.
green, it'd be like a big pickle.
Oh man. Well,
Anyway,
I can tell you, Coach, it was a fun show, and we'll see everybody again next Monday. But first, if you like, comment, subscribe, click on notification bells for Alabama with the Voice College Football. You can be able to see some magic, and you can be a part of the conversation. It's like you, the chat, can tune in to see what magic is going on Alabama Voice College Football. Because like you'll not only see it from us, but you'll see like the magic that Brady and Manny bring on the Alabama Primetime Show, including tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central Time. And you'll see Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports and myself for the next edition of the Alabama College Show, where we take your calls on the Alabama Crimson Tide. It'll be all right here on Alabama Voice College Football. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it. And we will see you very soon. Take care, everybody. And roll Tide.